All right, Alex, time for the Cartier.
Cartier time.
Well, if people don't know, Alex really loves Cartier.
Yeah, I do.
Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. Today is a special one because we have two very different brands that we're going to look at. So it's the Panerai Submersible versus the Cartier
Santos. Yes.
Amazing. So before we get started, I am Karar. Welcome to the show. This is
Alex.
All right. So let's start off by unboxing what we have in front of us. All right, let's go ahead with the Panerai. And what do we have here? So we have this beautiful military green Panerai, and we have the instruction warranty manual here. It actually took me some time to figure out how to open this, but it's a really nice flick, just like that. And you can open up the box. When you open up the box, you are met with a strap changing tool, an additional strap, and the watch dead center. Amazing. I like this box actually.
Yeah, it's cool looking.
Yeah.
Military green, well built. Yeah.
Absolutely. And here we have the Panerai Submersible Marina Militaire CarboTech, which is a pretty special watch that we're going to dive into.
All right, guys, so let's unbox the signature red Cartier box. You heard my pronunciation there, man?
Yes.
French. So here we have the Cartier Santos, model large in black ADLC. And this one is a really sporty watch with the black rubber strap on.
That's pretty cool. So, well, we have a winner when it comes to in regards to the boxes, that's for sure.
Yeah, these boxes are not, Cartier is not famous for their luxurious boxes, maybe.
Yeah.
But they done the job for many years, and I don't see why they wouldn't
it's the
do it for many years to come as well.
It's like the Rolex green box.
Exactly.
You think you're buying something for a few £100, right? So, amazing. So we have two black sports models.
Yes,
here.
And from two brands that we haven't featured on this channel before.
Yeah.
So this is going to be very interesting.
Absolutely. And I think before we actually go into the different models, I think just brand-wise, if you look at the two different brands, how different they are in terms of history, in terms of where they came from, and just in terms of their marketing and their market appeal and their different customer bases. Let's start off with the Panerai. Obviously, Panerai is a watch that is often displayed as the alpha male watch. If you look at the different movies, like, the Expendables, Dolph Lundgren, I believe, was wearing one. You've seen Arnold. You've seen Sylvester Stallone with them, and obviously these watches are way bigger than normal watches, so they fit more of big boys, so to say. Panerai has a big history in the Italian military. They were suppliers of the Italian Navy back in the early 40s. So that's where the heritage basically comes from. And they've stayed true to their design code, basically. If you see a Panerai that is 60 years old, and if you see a Panerai today, you see directly it's a Panerai, so to say.
Yeah.
And looking at Cartier?
Yeah, it's the total opposite if you look at the brand. It's a brand famous for their elegant design, the elegant approach, being the supplier of jewelry and watches to royal houses, stuff like that. Being the brand that brought us the first wristwatch back in 1904. For example, with the Santos Dumont that was created for the Brazilian aviator Santos Dumont. Yeah, so you have totally different stories behind these brands.
Absolutely.
But as for the Cartier, you can see the same kind of design language from their very first Santos.
Yeah.
You see the DNA clearly in this one as well, even though this one is a sporty take on the Santos line.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's two interesting watches from two interesting brands.
Absolutely. And the best part with this video is it's actually sponsored by Chronext. Why is that the best part? Because we get these watches to review directly from Chronext. We do not get them from either of the brands, so we are actually going to give you our honest opinion of these watches in the flesh. Nobody is telling us to say anything specific about these watches. All right, so let me take off my Rolex here and let's dive into the Panerai. So let's speak a little bit about the characteristics here. Obviously, as you can see, the case and the bezel is black. It's actually CarboTech, and if you see closely, you can see the different lines that are outlined here on the side of the case, and also you can slightly see them on the bezel. The dial is actually also from carbon fiber, and CarboTech was actually something that Panerai developed that is a composite material of carbon fiber. The part that I really like about this watch is that the dial, although very dark and black, it is extremely legible thanks to the lume blocks that are applied on the actual dial. So it's not luminous applied to the hour index markers.
So the whole index is actually solid part of lume.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
And that is super legible when you see it just in light. And also
Panerai are famous for their lume game, so to say, even on other models with their sandwich dials and whatnot they have used.
Absolutely.
They're very strong lume game.
Absolutely, and rightfully so. I mean, if you want to claim to be the brand of submersible watches, dive instruments, that comes very naturally. In regards to the size of this specific watch, we are boasting 47 millimeters. And you might actually think this is a heavy piece, but let me tell you, this one is actually very light, and I don't have the exact weight for it, but probably less than 100 grams. And if we look at it on the wrist, now keep in mind, I have a 6.5 inch wrist, so it's fairly skinny. A Panerai isn't necessarily my go-to watch, but just to give you an idea of how it looks on my wrist. I mean, this is a wrist full.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. Weight-wise, it weighs way less than my Submariner Hulk, so it's pretty comfortable. I actually like the rubber strap. The looks of the rubber strap, if you actually look from the lugs down, it looks pretty funky with this ziggy zaga. Yeah. But it feels super comfortable on the wrist, actually. Wrist presence, 110%. Nobody's going to miss your watch when you're wearing this, and it's super light and comfortable to wear. And the Panerai houses a in-house movement. So if we also look at the dial, you have the date window at 3 o'clock. I think the date window is slightly too small. I would have liked that a little bit more prominent, a little bit bigger. And on the 9 o'clock, you have the sweeping seconds hand that are positioned in a sub-dial. That's amazing.
And the crown?
And the crown. Let's get to the best part. So this is, I mean, if I'd own a Panerai, I'd probably pull this crown out and in 100 times a day. It's just so fun to do. And then with the crown, you pull out this lever, and then you can operate the crown and you can push it out, etc. And if we're going to talk about the submersible part of this watch and the actual bezel, so it has a rotating bezel. When we rotate it, I'm going to try to do it here so you can actually hear it. So there is large clicks, and it is pretty hard to turn around. So it's not as smooth as a normal Rolex would be, but I assume these aren't meant to be either. There you go, one full round.
Cool.
Yeah,
it looks cool. It's a big watch, but it looks cool. I like black watches that they look stealthy and sporty and everything like that. And also when they are black, they tend to feel a bit smaller on the wrist when you wear them.
Yeah. All right, guys, so that's the Panerai for you. Before we go ahead and take a closer look at the Cartier, I would love to take this opportunity to say thank you to our sponsor, Chronext. Chronext is a watch platform that is online, where you can go in and browse over 7,000 watches from different brands, such as this Panerai, that Cartier, or any Rolex, AP, Patek that you would like to purchase. We will leave the link in the description below, and you can also at the checkout stage enter the code IFLW for an additional discount. Thank you.
Thank you, Chronext.
All right, Alex, time for the Cartier.
Cartier time.
Well, if people don't know, Alex really loves Cartier.
Yeah, I do. It's if not my favorite, it's at least one of my favorite brands.
Yeah.
And guys, if you've been following me on Instagram for quite some time, then you know that the Santos has a special place in my heart.
Yes.
So it's quite interesting to see a new and modern Santos, since I'm mainly into the vintage ones. This is maybe not something typically right down my alley, although since it's a Santos, I cannot not like it.
Yeah.
So this watch was introduced last year, 2020, and the Santos de Cartier line was introduced 3 years ago in 2018 at SIHH. It was the new Santos line, because the Santos has been around for many years, over 100 years, and with some short production breaks, etc.
What was the difference with the new ones?
The difference with the new ones, the case design is different from the old ones. The old ones are more slim, the new ones are more wide.
Okay.
Lug to lug stuff like that is more or less the same as some older models, but the wider case and the bezel that's not entirely going around the dial, but also going down towards the lugs. So you have the different kind of flow on the bezel nowadays, but you still have the traditional Cartier Santos DNA in form of the screws in the bezel. And as you can see here on this model, also the screws on the rubber strap, which is a nice touch.
Yes.
So you have the 3 first links, so to say, on the rubber strap also has the screws as you see on the bracelet.
Is that purely aesthetic, or does that actually?
It's purely aesthetic.
Okay.
So as we mentioned before, ADLC case. ADLC stands for,
Diamond.
Diamond-like carbon.
Yes.
So dial-wise, Roman numerals, as always with Cartier, more or less. Very legible, as well as the Panerai. You have white Roman numerals going around the dial. You have the inner minute track going around in the center of the dial. And as you can see here also, you have 2 different finishes of the dial. So the outer part, where the Roman numerals are, has a sunburst finish, while the center part of the dial has a vertical brushed finish, which is quite interesting and looks really good, in my opinion. Size-wise, this is the large model, which you can tell easily from the date window at 6 o'clock. It is almost 40 millimeters wide and is 47.5 millimeters lug to lug.
So how does it wear?
It wears big, but not enormous. I must say, I've tried on both the large model in full stainless steel.
Yes.
And then I said, absolutely no chance.
Yes.
However, when it's in this configuration, it wears actually, as we told earlier, a bit smaller.
Yeah.
So it's still big for me.
But you'd pull that one off.
Maybe. You know what? I know Cartier is listening. Guys, I know you're not only listening, they are watching this as well. If you release this model in the medium size, you will have a big hit amongst folks. Because even though I'm not a fan of modern Cartier as much as the vintage ones, this one in medium, I'd probably pull the trigger right away.
Yeah?
Yeah. The The rubber strap is super comfortable, hugs the wrist, follows the wrist very nicely. You also get a matte black alligator strap with this one, so you can use the quick switch system that they have.
Okay.
Simply press in here and pull down like that. I won't show you the whole process now, but it's a very simple system to use, and even my dad can change his strap now on his Santos by himself. He doesn't have to call me every time. So it's a watch that I like.
Yeah.
Only downside for me is the case size.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Amazing. All right, Alex, so let's talk a little bit about the market value, right?
Yes.
Usually when we do reviews of, for example, Rolex watches, we're often met with market values that are much higher than the retail price. In this case, it is actually the other way around, which isn't unusual for any of these brands. So the Panerai we have sitting on a retail price of 18,900 euros. This one, although, is available on Chronext for 17,500 euros. So you can get this one slightly below retail price. How is it with the Cartier?
Same goes for the Cartier. It's 7,900 euros in retail price, and you can find it on Chronext for 7,550 euros.
Yeah.
So almost 500 euros off the retail price.
That's amazing.
Quite good. Checking other platforms, you see them sitting up on retail or slightly above even. So
yeah.
Seems like this one is really popular, and I mean, in general, Cartier modern pieces usually are a bit under retail.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's actually almost at around retail, which is pretty strong for a model like this.
Absolutely. So let's round this off. I mean, let me give you my quick rundown on the Panerai. The Panerai, I think it's a nice watch if you like to wear something light on your wrist, if you like black, and if you have the wrist to pull it off. I'd say you need to be a size bigger guy, wrist size at least, to actually be able to comfortably and stylish wear the Panerai. What about the Cartier?
This one is perfect for you that want a Cartier, but doesn't necessarily like the ones on leather straps or the more classic looking one, the more dressy looking one. So if you want a sports watch from Cartier, this one is perfect. It's sporty with its black case and the rubber strap.
Yes.
And occasionally, if you want to dress it up a bit, you can easily switch to the black alligator strap. So we have a versatile watch that looks good and is a joy to wear on the wrist.
And I need to actually say something about this Cartier. This is the nicest Cartier I've seen in person. I don't really like the Santos that you usually buy, the steel two-tone ones that are more vintage. But this one, I could actually see myself buying this one and wearing this one if I would like to have a Cartier.
Now, guys, that's the highest points you can get from a guy like this
that loves Rolex.
That loves Rolex, yeah.
No, but I really like this one. Yeah. Well, what's your thought about the Panerai?
I've had a couple of Panerais in the past, 44 millimeters and 42 millimeters, both submersible and Luminor. I think it's cool, but for me, it's a no-go because of the size, basically.
Yeah.
It wouldn't look good on my wrist, but I love...
what do you like the price point?
I mean, I wouldn't spend that personally on a Panerai.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit too much.
Yeah.
I mean, a Panerai for 5, 6, 7, 8K euro.
Yeah.
Feels okay. I mean, but to spend almost double or triple that.
Yes.
For me, no, I wouldn't.
Okay.
But all in all, it's a cool watch with innovative materials and yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Cool. Amazing. So thank you so much, guys, for tuning into this video. We hope you enjoyed our chit chat, and please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.